Have you heard about Global Poker? Global Poker is the fastest growing card room in the US today, and it's available online at globalpoker.com. Global Poker is a social poker site that offers safe and secure cash-out options by using their unique and patented sweepstakes model. Players can compete in big guaranteed tournaments, jackpot sit-and-goes, or cash games featuring Hold'em, Omaha, and even Crazy Pineapple. Don't wait. Check out Global Poker today.
Poker Stories is an audio series that features casual interviews with some of the game's best players and personalities. Each episode highlights a well-known figure in the poker world and dives deep into their favorite tales both on and off the feld.
Hello and welcome to Poker Stories, a podcast brought to you by Card Player, the Poker Authority, and hosted by me, Julio Rodriguez. This is episode number 76, and it features a man who has worn many hats, Mr. Vince Van Patten. During Vince's 62 years on Earth, he's worked as a writer, an actor, a gambler, a tennis pro, and most notably to us poker fans, as a commentator for the World Poker Tour. Vince is, of course, the son of legendary actor Dick Van Patten, but he grew up during an extended lull in his father's career. As a result, he was the one doing the acting work, appearing in commercials as a kid before the family moved from New York to Los Angeles. He also appeared in numerous TV shows and movies, including Bonanza, The $6 Million Man, Hell Night, The Break, which he also wrote and produced, and of course even Baywatch. His father introduced him to poker and gambling at a young age, but that didn't stop Vince from becoming a world-class tennis player. Although he got a bit of a late start, he managed to win Rookie of the Year, climb his way to a high of number 26 in the world, and he even beat John McEnroe when he won the 1981 Seiko World Super Tennis Tournament in Tokyo. Vince's experience in front of the camera and his time as the preeminent host of home games in Hollywood made him a natural choice for the 1998 WSOP main event. So when the WPT came calling in 2002, he took the commentator job alongside Mike Sexton and helped usher in the poker boom that came with the whole card camera and, of course, the moneymaker effect. 18 seasons later, and he's still at it. The most recent project from Vince, however, is a new movie that he wrote and stars in that's out now called 7 Days to Vegas. This is a gambling movie based on the outlandish prop bets made by a group of Hollywood home game regulars. The prop bets start small and then get bigger and bigger until Vince's character agrees to attempt to walk from LA to Vegas in under 7 days while wearing a suit. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but you'll hear more about the movie later on in the interview. I think you guys will really enjoy this episode. Vince was nice enough to share some great stories about growing up as a child actor and all the celebrities who would hang out and play poker, and even when he was 15 and wore a fake beard to get into the casinos. Anyway, that's enough intro. Here's my conversation with Vince Van Patten. I am here with Vince Van Patten. How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing great.
Here in Vegas, in your hotel room. Thank you for inviting me, for joining me on the podcast, I should say. You're in town for a little charity event, huh?
Yes, tomorrow night it's for the Youth Football of Nevada to raise money for helmets and all their stuff. And the NFL, the Raiders are behind it. Mm-hmm. And they're advertising it heavy, and they want a few poker players. So I'm here, happy to be here.
Who's your team?
Well, I grew up in Long Island.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I
had
were
the
you a
Jets.
Football fan growing up, or did you not until you moved to LA?
No, I always liked football, but
the Rams were in and out.
The Jets, so I always sucker bet on the Jets. Mm-hmm. Just got clobbered against New England last week, but that's when
it's
you
not
usually
a great
when you
time for your team, but
right, it's all right. So I'm excited about this new stadium you guys have here. for the Raiders, right? That's going to be incredible.
Yeah, now they're saying they're going to put the bullet train station next to it so that you can get to L.A. and back.
Okay.
You know,
that's nirvana. I mean,
how many times have you made the drive between Vegas and LA?
I think since I was a 16-year-old degenerate driving here with a fake beard and mustache. Truly.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day to gamble.
I hope you waited till you got here before you're putting it on.
Yes, I did. That's another story. But yeah, since then, I would say with the World Poker Tour and just loving Vegas, I think I've done 600 drives.
That's crazy.
Yeah. By the way, I hate to fly. I'm a bad flyer, so I always drive, and I love to drive because I can stop a lot.
Yeah.
I can walk around. I can
Stretch
stretch.
your legs,
I got stuff in my trunk that I like to look at. I don't know why. Not that exciting either.
Yeah. And
Just
if you happen to see a little
equipment.
shop, who cares? Pull over.
Right. It's the best. And all kinds of drinks. Some of the luggage you keep in the back. You know, you don't have to bring it up to the room. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent. But I love driving to Vegas.
They're saying this first leg will be able to do Vegas to Victorville in 75 minutes.
What on the train?
On the train, yeah.
Right now you could do it in the car.
It's like 3 hours.
2 hours, actually.
Well, I mean, depending on how fast
to
you're
Victorville, that's 200. It's about 180 miles. So you're right. You're right. It's about 3 hours. Okay, listen. I'm not. I would like the bullet train. Yes, if they really had a bullet train, sure, that'd be fun.
Best case scenario, everyone else uses it, leaves the road open for you.
That's true.
They're saying it'll ease
yeah.
congestion. Anyway, we'll talk about that stretch of land a little bit later in the podcast. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. Obviously, you had a lot of options growing up, and you took all of them. It looks like, obviously, your father, Dick Van Patten, you grew up, was acting a pressure on you ever? Or?
No, we grew up in Long Island, New York. My father wasn't working at that time. He had to do other jobs just to get by. He was kind of a washed-up actor. And we grew up and
that's
moved
crazy to me. He's so revered. Obviously he was like a child star.
He was a big star on Broadway and a series, and then after that, he didn't work for about 10 years in New York. Finally, he got lucky and came out to California. Elaine May brought him out to do a series, and I came out too. I was a child actor because, for whatever reason, his agent said, "Hey, the kids look like they look personable, and do they want to act because they have a good look?" And we said,
"Did your brother act too?"
I said, "Can I get out of school?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, I want to act." And that's why I got into the commercials and stuff. And so I started acting. And my brother Jimmy also started acting, and Nels along the way too. And we moved to L.A. In 1969. I was 12 years old.
Do you have any memorable commercials that stand out?
Nothing. No. Colgate. I mean, I did 30 different commercials. So I was just a little kid on the commercial. And then I did a lot of acting, TV series and stuff like that till I was about 19, 20 years old. And I like that. But listen, my whole life has been, I acted and then went on the tennis circuit. I was always a tennis player, but I was never that good.
What do you mean you were never that good?
As a junior, I was never even ranked in Southern California.
Really?
Yeah, and I was a hack. I mean, I was just not that good. I don't know.
Hit a growth spurt in your later years?
No, I think I finally broke through. I was top 25 in the world. I was the ATP.
That's what I'm saying.
Rookie of the Year in 1979. I did break through. I beat John McEnroe a couple times, number one player in the world. I was top 25. And I broke through because I got
won a Japanese tournament.
I won the biggest indoor tournament in the world, the Seiko at the time, 1981. But I only did it because I got pushed around and beaten up so many times and humiliated. And people always saying, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. Oh, are you kidding me? You're going to be a tennis pro?" Laughed at me, other juniors. That I think the anger got to me. It was like one of those things. I had to get back. I had to do it some way. And a weird thing in the tennis, I started lifting weights when I was about 16, 17 because I said, "This makes me feel good and look good," because I was a scrawny little kid at first. And they said, "You can't lift weights in tennis. Are you kidding me?
That's supposed to be bulky.
Don't do that." But I didn't listen to them anyway. I broke through, and after a while, I believed I could beat anybody. And I started beating all the major players around the world and top 10 players and winning tournaments. And that was my new career. I honestly thought I was going to be number one. I drove myself to try to be number one. Had some injuries, had some setbacks, this and that. I was on the circuit for 10 years, and it was great. But then it was over.
I mean, was it like powers? Did you have the nasty serve?
No serve, really. Just
crazy
average.
Backhand?
Great backhand, I have to say. It was a natural two-hand backhand because I couldn't hit a one-hand backhand. I had no strength.
Get that
so
power
I had the two hands. I always had a great two-hand backhand, and I could move well, and I competed well. I think you have to be able to pull the trigger at the right times in any sport.
How much of it is mental?
Clutch play. You have to be a clutch player.
Okay.
And the bigger the point, the more excited I got about it, and the more I wanted it. And it's a good correlation to poker, because in poker, I played a lot of poker, and if you want to be good at poker, if you want to win, you have to have that killer instinct.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the opportunity, then you have to know how to pull the trigger. And to do it, a lot of players know, hey, I should be bluffing here. I should be pushing all in because I don't believe that guy, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big correlation between
You always
athletics.
did it.
I kind of, yes, for good or bad. Sometimes you take the worst of it. But I'm not afraid to pull the trigger at the right time in sports and also in poker and life.
Well, it's just crazy to me. You look at the people who managed to get to the top 25 in the world at anything.
Yeah.
And that's all they've been doing since they were 2.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you have to be singularly focused, obsessed, and, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000-hour rule applies, obviously. But you're over here. You're like, yeah, on a whim, I'm just going to be the best tennis player I can be because somebody said I couldn't. Meanwhile, you're also acting, and your dad gets you into poker as a teenager, you know what I mean? So you got a lot of irons in the fire here.
Yeah, a lot of things that went up and down. But anyway, my father did teach me how to read the racing form and play poker at age 8.
Yeah.
And at age 16, I was in his grown-up game in L.A., winning.
How would you describe your dad as a gambler? Like degenerate or smart gambler? Or?
He was a smart gambler, actually, but a degenerate. First of all, he loved horses first.
Okay.
He loved the horses and blew a lot of money at the racetrack. Poker, he was good for a while until he made it. Now, he didn't make it till I was like 18 or 19 on 8 is Enough. So people say, oh, you grew up with the silver spoon. That wasn't true. But when he finally did make it, I was out of the house. I was out of the house by 18. But he was a good gambler, and he taught me, how to play tight and solid. And then anything I get into, I like to read about it a lot.
Yeah.
So I read Doyle Brunson's book when I was, very, very young, and I was fascinated by it. And in tennis, too, I read Bobby Riggs's, because I was self-taught. I read Bobby Riggs's Court Hustler.
Okay.
And I learned things from that. So I like to read about things and then try to apply
Bobby Riggs was the one who played the gender match, right?
He did.
That's
Battle
right.
of the Sexes. He beat Margaret Court, who was the number 1 player in the world, at age 55. It's a miraculous thing for a nice bet. And then he lost to Billie Jean King a couple years later, and he was a famous hustler.
That's right. He was the guy who was like always drumming up side action. And
Absolutely, and he was not a great gambler. He loved to gamble, but he didn't gamble. He was a hustler. He would have to have a major edge, and that's okay.
Were you gambling in your youth matches and stuff like that?
I would do anything to get any action at any time. I seriously did 3-card Monte at age 7, 7th grade.
Man.
On the while PE was going on. I would pitch coins against my friends, and we'd have fun. I always thought it was a great spice of life. I never let it get too far. I never got too crazy with it. And then, anyway, long story short, played poker as a teenager, and then it wasn't until I got off the circuit and came back to Los Angeles that I started having sort of a weekly poker game in the San Fernando Valley.
Real quick, let's talk about that trip to Vegas with the fake beard.
Okay, because...
so why were you doing that?
Yeah, first of all, when I was 16 or 15 and a half, you would get your driver's permit. And I got that, and I was so excited to gamble. But there was a place to play poker at Gardena, California, legalized poker, where you would deal yourself. You had to be 21 years old. I was 15 and a half. I looked 12.
Right. This was before Hold'em was even legalized.
Oh, yeah. You play every game. You have to deal 7-card stud, 5-card draw, you name it. And there was all kinds of cheating going on in those games. Anyway, I decided I now have a car. I'm going to drive down there. But how am I going to get in for over 21? I got to get a good fake beard and mustache, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I got this very good one. I drive down by myself, put this thing on, put the glue on, and I got away with it. I got strange looks, though, from people. And the security. They would look at me like, who is this freak?
Were you winning or losing? If you're losing, maybe they look the other way.
I would win some nights, and I would lose, and I would deal, and I found out a lot about life, and there was old codgers there, and hustling teams down in Gardena then, and smoking. The place was just brimming with all kinds of smoke.
Of course.
But I would drive away. Then, besides Gardena, one night I decided, my buddy and I, Daryl Goldman, decided, hey, let's go to Vegas. Parents don't know where we are, they never did back then. And so we took my car, and we drove 280 miles to Las Vegas with $17 worth of change. That's it. That was our bankroll to play some slots and just have fun. We got there at 4 o'clock in the morning. We go to the MGM Grand Hotel back then, we go in.
Where Bally's
now it's
is
Bally's,
now.
yeah. We go in, and within 30 minutes, we lose the $17 completely, And we're getting strange. Oh, by the way, he has the mustache on. I have the goatee. So we get away with it. We shouldn't have, but we get away with it. We walk out of there. We go, we got to get out of here. Let's drive home. I look at my gas tank, completely empty.
Oh, my God.
No gas. Not a nickel in my pocket. So I did something bad. I did something. I looked at the fountain going off of the MGM. Literally. And we went, okay, we got to do it. Come on, we're desperate. Mm-hmm. And we went in there. We got $5 worth of change to get enough gas in my little MGB.
I've been in an MG. Those things are tiny death traps. Oh, my gosh.
I know. Yeah. And we drove back.
Shout out to my college roommate, Robbie Newman, and his MG. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a good lesson for anybody out there down on their luck in Vegas.
Yeah.
Even the greats have stolen from the fountain.
I know. I'm sad to say, but Vegas was always great. And so then we flashed to the 90s, and I'm playing some home games and creating a nice home game.
So Wikipedia says you were the king of Hollywood home games. What does that mean?
Well, I think my game in the 90s grew from a smaller game in the Valley to a very big game in Beverly Hills in the early 2000s.
Right, and this is in your movie, obviously, Seven Days
which
to
inspired
Vegas.
This movie that I wrote called 7 Days to Vegas. I wrote it with my writing partner, Steve Alper, and a lot of it's based loosely on the game getting bigger and bigger.
Right, the timeline's a little jumbled.
Yeah, and a lot of it's fictitious, to make it more exciting and all this. But it's out now, 7 Days to Vegas, and it's a story about, not the poker, about this game, about crazy characters. Mm-hmm. And, we fictionalize a lot of these different characters. It's just a lot of fun, but it's more about these people and the bets we made, the crazy prop bets we would make. Mm-hmm. We would bet on anything.
Poker brought you together, but it was the gambling outside of the cards.
Yes, and the craziest bet we make is that one guy cannot walk 280 miles in 7 days from L.A. to Las Vegas in 7 days for $1 million. That's the concept of the film. I love the genre of poker movies and con movies and hustler movies. I really do. But usually when you see them, they're very dark, and it's always about the big hand or the big something else.
Or the addiction.
Yeah. And I'm
Mark
always
Wahlberg's
saying,
movie.
You know what? I got to, if I ever do a movie, ever write something, I want to do something that shows what I know. There's a joy. There's a spice of life. There's an enjoyment. There's ups and downs. There's twists and turns. And that's what 7 Days to Vegas is all about.
Yeah.
And you can get it now on Amazon and iTunes, and it's all out there. And
well, in the movie, you're up and down as far as you have a rivalry with one of the main actors. I don't want to give away too much of the movie. But Ross McCall, I believe, fantastic. Obviously, most people know him from Band of Brothers.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys have a rivalry, and so you're up, you're down. How much of that is real life for you? I mean, were you gambling with the whole family's bankroll at points?
Well, not that much. I mean, a lot of it's fictionalized, so, but that's the idea of it is, put a person on the edge. What will he do when he has to make that kind of bet? And through my life, I've had bets where, in NFL and all kinds of crazy bets, because I like to bet on anything and everything, that I've lost a lot. I lost a lot. And you can win, but overall, I'm lucky because I don't have that place where I've ever gone truly broke, which is great. But the movie's about players on the edge that will bet on anything and who will outsmart each other. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever buried money in your yard?
Well, that's in the movie. I got to say a lot of it's fictionalized, so we won't go there.
Don't go digging up Vince's yard now.
That's one of the things.
Get one of those maps of the stars, and then you'll find people in your yard with shovels tomorrow.
Yeah.
I bring up the home game, obviously. I didn't know this. I just learned this today. Your cousin was married to George Clooney.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
And now married to John Slattery?
Yeah, that's
of
true.
Mad Men fame?
Yeah.
That's, I'm assuming you had some real A-listers in these games.
Oh, well, yeah.
Can you drop names?
Yeah,
just the typical...
over the years, I played my father's games. He used to play with guys like Don Adams from Get Smart. Sorry about that, Chief. He'd be there everywhere. Jerry Van Dyke, John Huston, the famous director, Gabe Kaplan. And then in the 90s and stuff, of course, Ben Affleck and Toby, they played in my games back then.
So this was the same kind of crew that was in Molly's game? And
Yeah. So who else would you know? A lot of very famous people. So I don't talk about them. We change everything around, so it's very, very fictionalized because it's a comedy, and it's.
Hey, you don't want to get people in trouble either.
Yeah, I would never. There's nothing to really tell about those kind of guys. But over the actors seem to love poker, as we all know. I mean, Jennifer Tilly, and by the way, there's a lot of great cameos by poker players, Mike Sexton and Phil Locke and Antonio and.
Well, this is a good time to ask you because I have a question from one of our readers here. I talked to one of your producers, Adam Weinraub, about this. But this was from Andy, and he basically said, what lessons did you take from previous poker movies about what not to do in your movie?
Well, it's not just poker movies, but generally speaking, gambling movies. You know, I love, because I'm a gambler, and I love that genre as well. And like I said, I really think don't go always to the dark side. To me, I want a movie that I want to hang out with those people, like The Hangover, even though they were messed up, and hey, I wouldn't mind hanging out with them, see what, as a group, and that's what I wanted to show. So I think for the genre, it's more fun to draw people in, and even though they're on the edge, those are the kind of movies you walk away and go, I really enjoyed that because, it was fun. So
yeah, well, as somebody who's seen the movie, and I don't want to give too much away, Andy out there, but in my opinion, it's not about poker. Poker is just the glue that keeps the group together. And what I liked is that there was no distracting hands in the movie.
Bingo.
A lot of these poker movies, boom, royal flush versus quads or something,
right.
cringeworthy like that. Or people are just playing in a very comical way. Here, none of the poker distracts whatsoever.
Right. And I always find that even in the poker movies, there's been 20 or 30 you've seen in the last 30 years, but they always are directed a little bit. You see some performance where you go, oh, come on. Yeah. Even Malkovich in Rounders, which was terrific, but even him went way over the top, and the director couldn't. And he's a great actor, but he just, come on, there's no poker player that is like that or be that way.
Yeah. Well, even today, that would be a pretty boring depiction of David Peters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If David Peters and Justin Bonomo and Bryn Kenny are models for what a character is at the highest stakes, that in a movie would be pretty boring. You know what I mean? So I doubt John Malkovich would make those choices.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, Andy out there, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the poker in the movie whatsoever. Getting back to your home games, what kind of stakes are we talking? Did it grow as the game grew?
It did grow.
Did it ever get scary, where people were like, wow, this is too much? Or?
Yeah, I always limited it. I always pieced myself off a little bit on the outside, and so I wouldn't go for that big of a thing. But the games got big where it would hurt. It would hurt to lose. And I had some devastating losses. And, a bad loss is 3 times worse than a good win. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality of it. It takes you 4 or 5 days to get over a big loss. And I had many of those. And then I have kids growing up, and you have to take them to school the next morning, and you're getting in at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of stress to when you're playing in a roller coaster ride in a home game or tournaments or whatever. So, you see a bit of that for sure in the film. And over the years in my home games, yes, there were ups and downs. And then even if you have a good win, who's to say I'm not going to run to the racetrack the next day and piss it away or go to the NFL? And that's the addiction. That's the problem. It's very tough to keep the money, even if you make it. So,
did anybody ever win a movie or TV role in your game?
What do you mean?
Was anybody ever betting parts? Movie parts or TV parts? Jobs, gigs?
No, nothing like that. But I did. The thing that really did happen was we used to play with a dentist, and he lost some money to me, a couple grand. He said, Vince, do you mind if I, take a few weeks to pay us? Anytime. You take as long as you want, of course. And after about 3 months, he said, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. He goes, but I've been noticing your teeth. He says, they're not that good. I know you're an actor, if you want to just sort of, play it off, maybe I could do some dental work. I went, you're on. Yeah. So I got a couple of veneers out of that, so I won my teeth in the poker game. That's what I like to say.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Your wife, Eileen Davidson, who is soap opera royalty, is in the movie as well.
She sure is.
How fun was that? Did you guys meet on set?
No.
Because I know you were on a soap. I'm not sure it was at the same time.
She has done The Young and the Restless for many, many years, off and on. And
was more than that. Days of Our Lives and
2-time Emmy winner. She's a terrific actress and
Bold and the Beautiful. Yeah.
We fell in love. It's been 18 years now, and but anyway, when you make a movie, it's nice if you could say, "Wow, who should I cast for this role?" Oh, I think it's going to be my wife.
Yeah,
because she's great, and it's a really fun role for her because I don't want to give anything away because it's not exactly what it seems in the film 7 Days to Vegas, but it's great to work with her.
That's right. Yeah.
One funny thing that we did is that I like to rehearse a lot and we had about 4 weeks before we were going to start filming. I said, okay, babe, now we got the script. We go moving ahead. I said, do you mind? Let's run these lines so we really. She went, what? I don't run lines before I go to the set. I went, okay. Now all of a sudden I got Meryl Streep as a wife. You know?
Yeah.
She's the prima donna. I go, come on. She goes, no, I don't work that way. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it turned out she was right. We never ran the line, but we went on the set, and it actually made it better because sometimes it makes it fresher. But it goes to show you two different styles of actors. I like to rehearse the hell out of it.
She is a daytime Emmy winner, so right. I wouldn't mess with success.
And she's great in the movie, and here's another great thing about her is that you have to edit and cut at the very end of the day. And a few of the scenes that I had with her just didn't move the piece. So I said, honey, she goes, I know what you're going to say. She goes, we're going to have to cut some of my scenes. I went, yeah. She goes, that's okay.
Yeah.
She goes, please do that. She goes, make the best product you can. I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's how professional she is.
It's probably your fault
wonderful.
Anyway, right?
You know, right. And that was a great thing. So she's a great wife and great actress, and that's the kind of professional person she is.
Yeah, I was wondering, we have a question here, since you are a man who wears many hats. This is from Kenner, one of our listeners. If given the choice, what would be the most fulfilling to you? Would you rather win the World Series of Poker main event, win Wimbledon, or win the Best Actor Oscar?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, gosh, you know what?
I mean, Wikipedia lists you in order as an actor, then tennis player, then commentator.
Yeah, I don't care about... Oscar would be amazing, obviously. Never going to happen, we know that. But it's all subjective. That's all, hey, he was good, he wasn't. So that doesn't mean as much to me. Poker, yes, there's a lot of luck these days. It would be fantastic. I might choose that, even though tennis would be a great thrill. I gave it a shot. You know, I played all the big tournaments. I never happened. And that's pure talent. You can't fluke your way to winning.
There's no
luck in tennis.
I didn't want to bring up a specific player, but there's no Jerry Yanging your way to a Wimbledon title.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't. But just for the thrill of it, World Series, okay, that's a toss-up. I'll take Wimbledon or the World Series, sure, why not?
They both have a pretty good prize.
Yeah.
Maybe endorsements are better with Wimbledon.
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell the story about how you became involved with the World Poker Tour?
Yeah.
Because I know your father actually did commentary for the World Series of Poker back in the 90s.
Yeah, he sure did. He did a couple shows. That's back in the 90s. No one even watched. Who knows?
Did you watch them? Were you intrigued by it at the time?
No. You know, at that point, I'm playing. I didn't even watch it because who cared? You didn't know what the cards were. And then in '98,
it was like 93 to 95 or something like that.
And then, you know, I've been playing the main event of the World Series since '89 myself. I went there and wasn't that successful. But let's see. Then '98 they said, oh, you know, Dick, you're not available. Is Vince available? You know, it was Jack Benyon, asked me, and McClellan, and Doyle had something to do with it. So I said, yeah. So I did it, and I did that event. Scotty Wynn won the tournament, and it was very nice. No one watched. And then a few years later...
Yeah, this was the year Mike Matisow put Scotty in, right? And
I think so.
And then Mike ended up taking a third of that.
And that's when Scotty said, you know, you call this, it's over, baby.
Yeah.
Right? And
I mean, you picked a good one to jump in on.
Yeah, it was great. But no one watched. Then 2002 rolled around, and Mike Sexton had a lot to do with getting World Poker Tour financed and the backing, and they were looking for the second guy, and they called me up. We met. I figured it was going to be one or two shows, maybe. I knew Mike a little bit, and we came to
Was
Bellagio.
there like an audition? Did you test with Mike?
No, they kind of knew me, and they were trying to get in touch with me, but they weren't for a while. And then Shauna Hyatt actually was married to my brother. They were married for 5-6 years. And,
I did not know that. Okay.
She was getting the role, and they asked her before she got the role, yeah, so what do you know about poker? And she says, well, you know, I do my brother-in-law's game. I host it. I go, what? They said, what? We're trying to get in touch with him. You got the part, and get him.
Nice.
And that type of thing happened. And so she was on the show. I got the show. We figured it was going to last 2 shows. Mike and I, we looked at each other and go, yeah, well, who's going to watch it? No one watches poker. Boom. Because you could see the cards. Steve Lipscomb was so smart. Now all of a sudden people are going, who are these guys? Look at the move he made with nothing. What balls that had to be. What a brilliant game. But until then, until you saw the cards, you didn't realize that was going on.
Did you guys lock in on how you were going to present right away, or was it like trial and error at the beginning?
You mean...
As far as how, you know, your role with Mike, how are you going to hype things up, or if you were not going to hype things up?
Very good question.
Was it more going to be like a game show versus a reality
He's a natural.
show?
Mike's like a natural announcer, never shuts up. Okay, so we're rolling along, and I like that. I let him do his thing.
Well, his job is also a little bit more to call the action. It's a little easier.
He wants to call that action, and he kept it going. But he's a natural. He is a natural. He never did it before. I have more experience in the acting field, and you try to make light of a few things. Plus, I know poker extremely well, and been there, done that. So it was just a combination and a good mixture. Plus, we really liked each other, and Mike and I have great chemistry. All we did is when we were away from there, we would play a home game, and we would gamble on everything. And so that sort of, I think, filtered over into our commentary that we're actually having a good time.
Yeah.
So we went.
And you guys weren't allowed to play in the first few years.
First 10 years or so, Steve Lipscomb probably wisely said, it wouldn't look good. And at that time, I would have played a lot of tournaments because I was really into the poker, and it was it was disappointing. But then once he opened up the gates, Mike took advantage of it. But I kind of lost interest in playing and sitting down at the poker
you had
table
a
for
few
too long.
runs.
And I got a main event, cash pretty good, and a few runs in the World Poker Tour. But I only play maybe 2 or 3 tournaments a year. I just don't. I like cash game. I really am a cash player. I just like
choose your own hours.
Everything. Yeah, just do what I want to do and get in and get out if I want to, and see who I'm playing against.
Obviously, Mike's gone. You kicked him out.
Yeah.
Brought in Tony.
He's the best. I mean, Mike was great. He has a great job there as the ambassador of Party Poker. We're going to have dinner tonight, actually, in town. And then Tony Dunst is doing a terrific job. We're enjoying it. And
how have you evolved as far as season 1 to now? What is it, season 16?
Yeah. I think you try to improve. You try to get better. And then Tony and I, Mike used to just carry the ball. And I would just wait for him to maybe give me a little airtime, and I would just jump in. With Tony and I, Tony doesn't say as much. And so we're more, I'm probably 60-40 now. I'm probably carrying the ball. So it's a good good mixture. And Tony's very smart. I really appreciate his talent of that. And he's funny, too. He can loosen up, and we're starting to get better and better, I feel, for the World Poker Tour. Season 18. It's pretty amazing.
18, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
I know.
What if it goes another 18 years?
We'd be so lucky.
You buckled up for it?
Hey, I'm telling you, as long as it's fun still, and it is. And the people. By the way, I made the movie 7 Days to Vegas because I loved gambling and I love poker, and I wanted to show something to the poker people, the gamblers, and show them a movie that I'm proud of and that they'll have fun at, and that you could actually buy it or rent it and always have it and always get a good laugh out of it and appreciate the fact that it's at a high level of knowledge about the game, which is fun, and gambling.
Well, speaking of the movie, I wanted to ask you, your brother, I mean, I don't want to say he steals the show, but he's
terrific.
He crushes in the screen time he has, but he has to do some things that are like,
He's a character.
Was he up for everything?
Jimmy Van Patten is my brother, and he plays my brother in the film. He's more of in the film a near-do-well brother, a name dropper, a former manager, and kind of a hustler, and kind of a little bit sleazy, and he's just brilliant and funny in the movie. So it's great to have your brother in the movie. I mean, it's a special thing because our whole lives we've been actors, and we never got to work together at this level on something. Parts that we love so much. So he's terrific, and people will get a kick out of him, I believe.
Yeah.
We produced the film together.
He looked like he had a lot of fun in his role, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but I was sure about some of the things he was asked to do. I wasn't sure if he was cool with it.
He does some funny things. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. We have a question here from a listener named Sonny. What is the biggest or dumbest scam you've ever fallen for in or out of the poker world?
Wow. Ooh.
As we know, the poker world is full of some hustlers, as you say. And
okay, I bought into, about 15 years ago, at the poker game, a guy came to me, came to the whole table and said, okay, a poker player at the table said, I know a guy, and he's coming tonight, and he has these things. You can buy some slot machines. We can all have a slot machine. It's going to burn it at this place in Iowa, and trust me, he said, it's good, and you pay $25,000 per machine, and it's going to be worth $125, and every year you're going to pick up 10. Anyway, I fell for that. I never got a nickel back. Then a guy came in. They always used to come to this place because it was in Beverly Hills, and they would try to pick us off. And he had boxes of Cuban cigars, right? A young kid. And he said, hey, buy the box of cigars, $400 a box. And we were all smoking a lot of cigars back then. So everybody bought 2 boxes, 3 boxes. A lot of A lot of money. We threw them. They turned out to be very good cigars. And then he said, hey, he was a charming guy. He said, Vince, hey, man, I know you're from tennis, and I play a lot of tennis. I played college, and I go, really? He goes, yeah, I'd love to play sometime. Here's my card. So he gives me his card. I go, yeah, okay, maybe. You never know. Mm-hmm. And I figured I'd get some more free cigars maybe or something like that. I never called him anything like that. But about a year and a half later, he's busted, and he's in jail for doing life. Him and his mother wound up being these murderers.
What?
Yeah. And they're famous murderers that... And he's in for life. And
the cigar murderers.
Yeah, he was in. They would know people and then wind up killing them. And so anyway, I'm so glad I didn't play tennis with him.
Who knew the cigar underworld was so devious?
I don't know. So that's another bad story. You just sort of escape, but a lot of bounce checks. I mean, all over the years. I mean, so many phony checks and things like that. Trying to get your money back and. And just it's a crazy world when
Jennifer
Tilly
was on. She was saying that a big problem in the home games was always getting past a bad check, or people would sometimes pass a check 5 or 6 times, and you'd see people's names crossed off on the back endorsed to, you know what I mean? Because people are just constantly shuffling the same money around.
God, that's tough. Yeah. But that's about it. Luckily, no horrible scams besides that.
Yeah, I mean Doyle had some stories about all the stuff he used to get involved in, all the bad investments and crazy stuff. I think he tried to resurrect the Ark at one point.
Oh God, that's funny.
Noah's Ark.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some rapid fire questions to close it out if you're ready.
Okay, sure.
What's your longest session ever played?
3 days.
3 full days at the table.
Yeah.
And how were you at the end? Were you coherent, or did the game just break? Did somebody have
to
pull you off?
Just waking up. No, you go into different stages of the game. I've slept at the table. It's embarrassing. I remember I've seen that happen a lot. But yeah, you sleep and then you have a second wind and everything. And so 3 days. Yeah, I don't like that though.
Did you know if you won or lost?
I think I won.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
At least if it was a good reason you didn't get up.
Yeah, not much though. Not enough.
Biggest pot you've ever won or lost? Your choice. Or biggest pot you've ever witnessed?
It's in the thousands, yeah, for sure. And I've lost thousands, and like I said before, 3 times worse when you lose than you win. When you win, you think, oh, this is a great day, this is a great life, and then you lose, and it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So
why did I spend all that time?
Yeah.
It's like a job you get negative money for. Best swap or piece you've ever had of anybody? Not sure if this applies to you. Since you couldn't play for all those years.
I did bet Michael Stitch in Las Vegas when he was 40-1 to win Wimbledon. This is back in the early 90s. Only because he got to the semis. He was a serve volley. He got to the semis of the French Open. I handicapped that. And I went, Michael Stitch, this German, is going to win Wimbledon. I won that bet. I had a couple hundred on him. That was a nice win. I had Agassi when he won Wimbledon at a long shot bet. Mm-hmm. I used to do very well in tennis betting. Until they got someone in there after about 4 years that really knows their stuff. And now it's a whole different level. And now the middle is so ridiculous. So tennis, for me, is a bad bet still. That's about it.
Do you watch a lot of tennis?
I still love the game, and I watch somewhat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who are your guys? I mean, do you have like a favorite
I think
players?
The 3 great. I mean, these guys are unbelievable. Fed and Djokovic and Nadal. I mean, they're unbelievable. Then you got Murray too, right behind him. I mean, it's the greatest era of great players of all time.
Really? You're going to put it ahead of Sampras and Agassi and
because
Becker
the players behind them weren't as competitive to them.
Okay.
Now there's 3 superstars in the last 15 years, so I got to give credit to them. I think it's the greatest of all time.
Can you enjoy bad tennis on TV, or is it just like, are you so knowledgeable at the game that it's tough for you to watch?
There's just no bad tennis. I mean, I wish there was, because it is almost too good now. Mm-hmm. It's almost like ping pong, and I still think there's too many tournaments. They should have a season. They don't a break, and they don't. But it's still great to watch.
Yeah, that is the thing. When does the tennis season end? No one
knows.
It just
keeps
keeps
going round and round. Yeah.
All right. The weirdest place you've ever played poker for money?
I played on the border of Mexico and California in some bar I heard about, and it was a back room, and it was the roughest game I've ever been around. There's 2 tables. This was in the 80s, and there was 2 tables, and I was lucky to get out of there alive. It was just.
So how did that come about? Somebody they needed players?
I heard about it, and it was you have to knock on the door, special knock, and they look through a peephole and the whole thing. And this was for real. It was right on the border. Calexico in Mexico. And so that was a rough game. Played on all.
Was that the most dangerous spot you ever been in?
I think it was, not even knowing it. I think it was.
Because your home game wasn't like a seed.
No,
this isn't like Doyle Brunson in Texas in the 50s were home games.
No. But just going down to Gardena back in the day was stupid. Just driving around, going through the parking lots of Gardena. There was all kinds of problems back then. You got to always watch out. So that's about it.
All right. Biggest poker regret?
Poker regret. Huh. I'll tell you what it is. Once you start playing in a bigger game, and then I wanted to wean myself off because I have too many losses and this and that, and then you cut down to maybe 30% of what that game was, and yet you're still playing, and
That's
now
tough.
all of a sudden I'm playing bad, and I went very bad, and you blow it because your ego is such, and now all of a sudden you become the big fish, and that's pretty scary. And you can look in the mirror and go, what was I doing? So that's a regret. You got to be wiser than that.
Yeah.
If you want to hold on to money.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if this really applies to you. What was your worst job before poker?
Just some of the acting jobs I did, probably.
Do you have like a real bad eyesore that? Do you have something out there that if somebody found it and put it online, it would embarrass you?
I don't think anything like that, but just the fact that, acting, sometimes it's very stimulating if you're in the right role, but sometimes you're doing projects that are just very, very...
Sometimes you're selling toothpaste.
You got it, yeah. You just got to take it for the money, and it's boring on the set. When I'm bored, I fall asleep. I have no energy, and that's when I know, get out. I've got to... When I'm writing, I love writing, the day goes by like that. When I'm at a poker table in a big game, it has to be a big game. Otherwise, I'm falling asleep. But when it's money that can, change your week, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And I'll be pepped up. So I judge that by my energy level. Tells me if I'm excited or not.
Hey, you mentioned your writing. We haven't even really brought that up, other than obviously you co-wrote the movie.
Yeah.
You also had the book, The Picasso Flop.
Yeah.
Your wife is a writer as well.
Yes, we like to write, but I'm not like looking for my next writing job. Even though I'm creative, I like to always think about something like that.
I don't think you need to look for anything. I think you have so much going on.
Hey. Well, there's talks, we might do this as a series, do this 7 Days to Vegas, The Gang. As a series, which would be fun. And then I'd get back into behind a desk and grind away for the writing, because it is inspiring, it is fun, it's good to be creative. So other than that, I'm just going to do the World Poker Tour and just live life and get some exercise, and that's it. Well,
there's a question we ask: if not for poker, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
So if poker was illegal tomorrow, no more WPT.
Yeah.
What do you?
Hey, if I was retired, I'd just be at Venice Beach playing paddle tennis, jumping in the ocean, hanging out with friends and family.
Do you have that in you?
And eating, well, what?
Do you have retirement in you?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know, you seem like a guy who's going to work till he dies, you know what I mean? Like,
I'll always do something maybe on the side, as maybe creatively or whatever, but I can enjoy my off time.
Okay.
I really can, yeah.
It's good to know you can relax a little bit,
Yeah.
You have so many irons in the fire over there. All right. What was your largest non-poker wager?
Non-poker wager.
This might be a good transition to say, like, how much of those bets we saw in the movie are real?
They're out of hand. It's very fictitious. There's a lot of stuff. So I don't want to give much away about what we're betting in the movie and what I played for. I always played for something that maybe I couldn't afford. I won't mention the number. But in the movie, yes, it gets drastically, it's embellished. It's a movie, so you try to make it more exciting.
Yeah, of course, obviously. And it takes place today, so the money's got to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
What is a talent you don't have that you wish you did?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't sing. I'm a very bad singer. Okay. I don't wish
that
that's
makes me
bad.
feel better. That if you were a great singer, I'd be really upset.
Yeah, you know what? I look around. I think there's a lot of great singers, and they don't even know. They know it, but it's like that's something that's just God-given, and there's a lot of them. I don't even think they work it. So that's something that's either given or not, perhaps. Yeah. I don't know.
It's not even enough anymore. In the 40s, if you were a great voice, somebody would record you somewhere, and you'd become famous. If you were undeniably talented. Yeah. Now you got to have a look with it. You got to have a dance with it. You got to be at the right age, and you got to be in the right country.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm working on my patience. With when you're married, you have to work on your patience and stuff like that. And I'm getting better at that. And try not to solve the answer with my wife. I want to always figure out, okay, well, this is, they don't want to hear that.
No, they just want you to listen.
That's it.
Yeah. Don't solve, listen.
A lot of years for me to figure that one out.
It's still tough for me
I'm learning things, yeah.
Resist. The solution is so simple. Just listen to me. Clearly, I know everything.
I'm a bad swimmer. Anyway, a lot of, listen, I'm lucky I get to do some of the things I like to do. That's all.
Headphones on at the table, yes or no?
I think you should be allowed to, yeah. I like to listen to music and stuff. Yeah, you're giving a little edge away because you're not hearing everything. And if I'm playing in a big game, hell no, I'm not going to wear them. No. And I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm never going to give anything away talkative. I'm going to make them talk. I mean, I used to be serious about it, and I used to take great notes and know all my players, a rotisserie of 100 players.
Yeah.
But when you do it all the time, you have to do that, and you have to play your best game. You have to be ready for that game.
Well, I'm not sure. Like as a Hollywood home game host, do you have to be more animated and?
Well, I wasn't really. I was a gambling guy that just said who's playing this week,
Yeah.
And no cut ever, nothing like that, no rate, no cut, and just play it to gamble. And do you have to be? Well, if you're calling up people and you want them to come back, you got to set the rules.
Yeah.
And if you don't have strict rules, the game will deteriorate. So you have to definitely have a certain amount of charm, and you got to be the anchor at the table. So and you got to never berate players. You got to make people feel good, win or lose. They don't do that today. A lot of, even I saw it in my games back in the day. It's very smart players that would win a lot of money. They would lose one night and they'd get so, have a little hissy fit, and all of a sudden they start berating the whale at the table. And you're looking at them going, what planet are you on? Didn't you read Doyle's book?
Yeah.
You
just want to kick them and be like, what are you doing?
That. And I've seen,
You'll get it next week.
Soft spots walk away and never come back because of humiliation. So, you have to be able to curb that and talk to people. You have to be sort of a diplomat. So there's a lot to be a good guy that's coordinating a game, let's just say, for sure.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of different pop, basically. A lot of different old stuff, 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, some of the rap, some of that too. But I love music. I work out. I love to work out, and I listen to music constantly. It does pump you up. At the table these days, I don't listen to music at the table. Like I said, I want in a bigger game because I want to be concentrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
That's a good question. Definitely. You got to put Casino and Godfather. I mean, this is pretty common. I like the genre of.
Well, they're highly ranked for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, they're brilliant.
I guess we could break this down by category. So, favorite gambling movie, is it going to be Casino?
If you can consider that, it's not really even a gambling movie, but it's around the gambling world.
Yeah.
Yes, by far. Yeah, for sure.
What about favorite specifically poker movie? Not counting 7 Days to Vegas, which everybody should go see right now.
Yep. I'll go back to the Cincinnati Kid. How about that?
Yeah,
and except for the love story, which was a little weak with Anne Margaret, it was a little draggy. That story's quite good, and Steve McQueen was great. So that would be my favorite.
What about of your father's movies?
Spaceballs, he's very funny in. And,
That's what's
High
funny
Anxiety.
is
I mean, he did a lot of Mel Brooks films, and
I was a big Mel Brooks fan growing up, and I met your father, I want to say 2006 at the series.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did he play like a celebrity charity event?
Totally.
It was either that or Bellagio. But I met him, and the only thing I could muster was like, Spaceballs.
That's great.
I was like, I love you in Spaceballs. And obviously, Men in Tights, and, he was Mel Brooks guy for a
we used
bit.
to play tennis with Mel Brooks at Merv Griffin's ex-wife's house, Julianne Griffin. It was Gene Wilder, Mel Brooks, Gilda Radner, my father, Farrah Fawcett, Lee Majors, all these big stars. And every Sunday we would go over there. And my father started getting hot with 8 Is Enough, and my father, Mel Brooks, started to appreciate his humor. Really did on the tennis court, and he said, okay, you're going to be in every film I make.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy Mel is. Once you're in with him, he puts you in every film. So he did some great movies with Mel. And by the way, my father, who went to the racetrack every day, introduced Mel to the racetrack around 1990, and Mel said, I don't like the racetrack. He hasn't left the track since. Mel now is addicted to Santa Anita and Hollywood Park. Or not Hollywood Park anymore, but he loves the racetrack. So my father introduced him to that.
That's crazy. Actually, last week I was surprised. I was in the pet food store, and I saw your dad's, food there.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Yeah, he had Dick Van Patten's dog food, and it did quite well. And it's still out there, even though my father's gone.
Yeah, but what would your dad think of you today? Still, in the gambling world, and
yeah, he'd be very proud. First of all, he said, "Don't do it." He goes, "No one wins." He's partially right. So he says they all lose their money eventually. But he was a degenerate, and he hung in there, and. But he'd be proud of the movie we made, 7 Days to Vegas, for sure. Mm-hmm. He says you can't get a movie off the ground; it's impossible. And then once it's getting off the ground, he was very excited about that. But he'd be excited because he loved movies, and he knows he would think this is a good one. So I think he'd be proud.
Awesome. We end the podcast the same way every time, with a question from the random question generator. Yours is: have you ever cheated on a test?
Any test?
Any test. Driving test. School test.
So it's
the bar exam.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I might have cheated in grammar school. Some tests. Yeah, I wasn't a very good student, and we never did homework. My parents never said do homework. We're very undisciplined that way, and. I might have tried to look at it. You know what I would do? I wouldn't really cheat. I would maybe look at somebody else. That's cheating. Mm-hmm. To look at somebody else's test or something for a couple of answers. That's about it. I wasn't. I don't really cheat. What a horrible random question that was.
Know. Would you like a different one? Let's give you a different one. I can give you one quick one because I don't want to end it on a bad note here.
That's a very bad note. Now, maybe not. Listen, we all grow. We all do things you're not.
We've all taken money from the fountain.
That's exactly right. And I admitted the fountain story. So
okay, this one might be even related to 7 Days to Vegas. Okay. Have you ever slept outside?
Yes, of course.
I still haven't, by the way.
Camping trips and all kinds of places. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't like the ants crawling on you, but yes, it's a great thing.
What was the worst night outside? You ever get locked outside of your house?
No. My father took us to Yosemite when I was about 13. And and he wasn't even a camper. I don't know what he was doing. He said, "Oh, I guess we have to go." So we went
bucket list thing,
and we stayed outside. And 6 o'clock in the morning, there was a bear outside. And my father goes, "There's a bear outside." And I said, "No, really." He goes, "Take a look." So we all look, and there's a bear in the trash can. It's 30 feet away. And so the bear looks at us, and we look back at him, and the bear starts to leave. And my father, I don't know why, he goes, "Follow him." Follow him. So we did.
Yeah.
And so me and my brothers and cousins, we all start following the bear, and the bear starts running away from us, and we start running after the bear. It was the stupidest thing we ever done. I don't know what we were thinking, but we were okay.
Yeah, that bear doubles back. One of you's just gone forever.
Yeah, of course. Chase the bear.
Who's the slowest of your cousins? That one wouldn't be there anymore.
Very dumb. Yeah.
Anyway, Vince, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing the stories. And make sure all of you listening out there, go check out 7 Days to Vegas right now.
Yeah, it's on Amazon and iTunes, among all other video on demand, and it's doing really well. Got great reviews. So thank you for the plugs, and great talking to you.
All right, thank you so much. That's it. That's the show. Thank you once again to Vince Van Patten for coming on the podcast and sharing the stories. Again, the movie is 7 Days to Vegas, and you can check it out right now on demand. Get the movie on Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, and whatever iTunes is called these days. I'd also like to wish a happy belated birthday to Vince, who just celebrated 62 this month. Honestly, after spending an hour sitting 3 feet away from him, I don't see how it's possible that Vince is 62. We might have to throw him in with Keanu Reeves and Paul Rudd as possible vampires. You can find Vince on Twitter at VinceVanP_WPT. And while you're there, be sure to check us out at Card Player Media and also at Poker_Stories. Before you clear this episode from your podcast queue, why don't you take a second and scroll down to the rating and review section of your app. Hit 5 stars, leave a nice review, and let us know about it with an email to pokerstories@cardplayer.com. And actually, we'll hook you up with a free digital subscription to Card Player magazine. Thanks for listening.